Afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're in the world. We're happy you're here with us. We are the Brunch Busters. I am Bobby Musk. That man beside me, Chris Parrish. And Parrish, we got some news here because we got a special guest join us today. We got HeelKevin right below. Man, with all the energy, this is going to be a fun show. We're going right the fuck off the rails immediately on this one.
I'm going to try my best not to get you guys banned.
Oh, it's okay. We try ourselves, so let's have some fun with this shit.
Yeah, welcome to the show. We're very happy to have you on, and just to kind of start it off, give us a little bit of a quick description about you, what you do, and how you got into the world of not only streaming and professional wrestling.
Yeah, so like Bobby said, my name is HeelKevin. I am a full-time streamer, content creator, whatever title it goes by nowadays. Yeah, so a little bit of backstory on me. I was in the military for almost 7 years, got out, became a cop, and somewhere along the line started my hand with this social media thing. We'll get into that in just a second. And about 2.5 years ago, I decided that I was going to step away from being a full-time police officer and try to work for myself and make content for a living, and it's been going good for about the last 2.5 years. And like, not the greatest. I struggle just like everybody else, but I have been fortunate enough to, between my income and my wife's, be able to do this full time and spend more time with my kids and be a lot freaking happier because I don't have to answer to anybody else, and I kind of work for myself. But then again, I work for myself, and my boss is a dick, so I don't know how much better that is. But anyway, I got into wrestling, from the moment I was able to watch TV. It was Everybody has this really cool story about what drew them into pro wrestling, and they can usually remember a moment or a match or a promo or a skit or something that was the defining moment where they're like, okay, this is awesome, and I'm gonna see what this is all about. I don't really have that, um, because wrestling was just always something my family did. Um, so for those of you who don't know, my uncle, only by marriage, we are not blood related, only by marriage, is WWE Hall of Famer George Animal Steel, and it was always a part of our family. It was always something we did. It's like, okay, you wake up, you go to school, you go to work. On Mondays and Tuesdays at the time, we watch wrestling. Just one of those things we always did. So there was never really any big defining moment, but it was really cool. It was really cool to say that a member of our family like made it and actually did something with it. So that was really cool. And then when I turned 15, I started wrestling on the independent scene here in Georgia, where I live, and that lasted all the way until I graduated high school because I always knew I wanted to go to the military. That was a foregone conclusion. It was going to happen. I didn't care what branch I went to. I didn't care what job I had. Um, this is just my belief, and people watching, you don't have to believe what I believe. This is just my opinion. But I believe if you are going to benefit from this country, you need to serve this country in some way, shape, or form. If you're going to reap the benefits of it, then it is your obligation to serve it in some way. So that was always something really big for me. And yeah, when I went to the military, kind of put wrestling on a back burner and didn't really think about it too much. And it was always hard to find somewhere to train with as much as I moved around and always found myself in a new place. So it was really hard to find places to train and gyms to go to and stuff like that. So I told myself, when I get out, I'll go back to it. My military career was cut short. Things happen in life. Doesn't always go the way you plan. It wasn't my decision to get out. That decision was made for me. And I immediately went into law enforcement. And at that time, my first son was due. Me and my wife found out that we were having a baby, and so then it became, if I get in here and start wrestling and I break my leg or something, I can't go to work. If I don't work, my son doesn't eat. So once again, put it on the back burner. I was like, you know what? Come back to it. It is what it is. Then something very, very crazy happened. Around 2017, I was arrested for a crime I didn't do. I got arrested. I knew I didn't do it. A lot of the people involved knew I didn't do it. So I got arrested, lost my job, lost everything. And I found myself in a very, very dark place. And like I said, I knew I was innocent, and I knew as soon as we went to court, I was going to beat it. So I got really depressed because I know you guys are in Canada, but like the judicial system here in America is a very slow moving judicial system. You can be charged with a crime and not go to court for 2 years. So it was all a matter of how long am I going to have to wait before I can prove these people are fucking idiots? Sorry, I get a little irritated at this still to this day, because they took everything from me, literally everything. And me and my wife were trying to figure out how to make things work. And I had a friend at the time. We're no longer friends now. He's doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. It is what it is. But he was making belt review videos on YouTube. He had a championship belt collection. At the time, I didn't have any belts. And he was like, hey, man, I make YouTube videos where I review the belts and I tell people about them. Maybe you should join in with me. And what he was trying to do was, I was in the deepest depression I had ever been in my entire life. I didn't know what was up, what was down. I didn't know what day it was. I lived in my bedroom. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody, because when something like that happens, everybody always wants to ask you about it. It's the only thing people want to talk about. It's the only thing people want to ask you about. It's the only thing they want to hear about. They don't want to hear about how you're doing, how your family's doing, anything like that. Is, oh, did this really happen? Yeah, it fucking happened. Did you do it? No. If you knew me for more than 20 minutes, you'd know I didn't do this shit. But anyway, so I started making belt reviews with him as his way of trying to pull me out of my depression, and it worked. And from the moment we made our first video, we clicked. He played off of me. I played off of him. We had very good banter. We started to grow a community. We started to grow an audience. There were people who weren't only just watching the YouTube videos, but literally commenting over and over. We need more than one video a week. We need more than 2 videos a week. We need more of this. We need to see more. We didn't have that many belts to review. We were running out of content. But anyway, that's what kind of started me in social media. And that whole thing lasted about 6 weeks. It never even went to court. I had a sit-down meeting with the sheriff for the agency that arrested me. And I was like, so I got accused of doing something, and I got accused of being somewhere at a certain time. Not to get into too much specifics of it. I got accused of being at a certain place at a certain time. And I literally walked up to the sheriff and I was like, look, you're saying that I was here at this time doing this, but here is footage of me at a gas station 3 states away at the exact same time and date. You're saying I was here doing this. It wasn't me. I was over in this other state, not even near this place. It's just a guy who looks like me. So all of it got thrown out, got dismissed, got my job back, got my life back. But that 6 weeks was long enough for me to realize I really, really enjoy doing this social media thing. And I love being a cop too, don't get me wrong. But I really, really enjoy this whole social media thing. And I really want to give that a shot, but I guess I just didn't have the balls to pull the trigger on it. So I continued my full-time job for about another year or so. And then I was talking to my wife one day and she was like, you know what? Here's how much you need to make every month in order to keep all the bills paid. Because with the money that she makes, this is the dollar amount that I would have to make. And I was like, you know what? That's pretty reasonable, doable. So let's give it a shot. And we have been full steam ahead ever since for the last 2.5 years. Never looked back. I maintained my certification. I am still a board certified police officer. I just don't work for an agency. And yeah, I've been doing that ever since.
Well, even though we are Canadian, first of all, thanks for all the service you provided, both military service and as a police officer, protecting people, keeping them safe. That's very commendable, of course, and awesome story to hear. Very, very.
A lot of ups and downs, man.
Yeah. And I mean, I come from a family, my old man was a cop, and again, not only accused, but actually convicted of a crime that he didn't commit and everything like that. Despite the evidence that was there to prove otherwise, it became very political. And I understand the ups and downs that it brings. It does to your family, especially losing that kind of income and stuff like that too. Yeah, it puts you in a dark place. And again, I can agree. Streaming is one thing that I do too, that helps me with any, mental health problems. And stuff like that too. It really picks you back up, really gives you full of life. And that's the energy that, I love to bring to streams. And it's watching your streams as well too. That's the kind of energy I get watching that. Because I mean, man, you bring it like fire every single time.
I'm glad you guys enjoy it. And I just want to go and say this really quick before you go any further. I actually wanted to start out with this, but I got ADD as a son of a bitch and squirrel. But anyway, the amount of love and support you guys show my channel and my stream, I can't thank you guys enough for that. And I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. You guys know as well as I do, this whole streaming thing, no matter if you're on Twitch, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Feet Finder, OnlyFans, Farmers Only, whatever the case may be, it's all a big networking thing. Streamers have to support other streamers. It's if you walk into streaming with the mentality of, I need to have all the toys and everybody has to look at me and I'm the only one that matters, you're never going to win. You're never going to get to where you want to be, because it takes a community of people. It takes me, it takes you guys, it takes my friend, the dad trainer. It takes all these other streamers to really build a community. And there's enough food on this table for everybody to be eating well. Nobody should be fucking starving. But if you come into it like, oh no, fuck them, they can starve. I need all the food for myself. You can get the fuck out of here. But the whole point of what I'm trying to say is you guys have shown so much love to my channel. I cannot thank you guys enough for it. And it really, really means a lot.
And likewise, you've shown the same support to many of the different programs that we do here on our local establishment. And I mean, it pays off big time. And you're right, 100%. That's the mentality we went in with when starting this entire channel and working with the people that we do, was not just working internally with them, but working with streamers outside of the channel and stuff to show them the love and support and be able to help grow among a lot of great content creators worldwide and do what we can. Because like you say, nobody needs to starve. We can all get a piece of the pie.
And that's the thing, man. Those are the kind of people I love working with. I have this thing, and I'm sure you guys have heard it numerous times on my channel. I want to support the ones who support me. If you support me, I want to support you. Because if you can support me and I can support you, then at the end of the day, we both win.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's one of the lessons I learned very quickly when I was in my time in pro wrestling, is that you may think you're walking down the aisle to that ring all by yourself, but there was a collection of people that helped make that presentation a reality. And if you ever walk through, whether it's an aisle, life, hall, any aspect, any cliche you want to put out there, thinking that you're on your own, that's going to be a very scary place for you, whether it's from a visual standpoint, from an internal standpoint, anything. It's always nice and always so much clearer of a mindset to be when you know there's other people around you and you just feel happier, like you mentioned earlier. So we're very happy to not only get a chance to work with you, but also have you on the show, but also see that same passion that I know we have doing this. So at the end of the day, it's not about you or I, because those are only 2 letters of the alphabet. There's 24 other ones as well, and that's the thing.
And like the thing is, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to say, without that collection, you really don't have a true focus on the future if you only think about something small and individual like it. So I mean, like it all goes back likewise. But I did, before you say that, I do have a question, because you did talk about your HeelKevin army that you have, like the people that support you. What has that army? And feel free to let us know where we can get those t-shirts, but also what has that community done to not only teach you, but also allow you to find out more about yourself post all this stuff that led you to this point?
Oh, that's it's a loaded question, man. So the HeelKevin army, first
you
off,
saw the beer that I have, right? That's the only ones I have.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The HeelKevin army. So first off, I didn't even come up with that name. The chat really came up with that name, and they started calling themselves that, and it's something that really stuck. But it's crazy because there are people in Pennsylvania, there are people in Florida, there are people in California, Mississippi, Arizona, just to name a few, West Virginia, that I have never met face to face a day in my life. And I consider those people to be like my family. And people say that's weird, but a good friend of mine says it better than anybody. He says, there are people in my family that I haven't talked to in years, but I talk to my stream every single day. I talk to them. They know more about me than my own. I have an older brother who I haven't talked to in over 3 years, and we live 10 minutes apart. We had a really bad falling out. We haven't talked in years. He doesn't know that I stream full time. He doesn't know that everything that's happened to me in the last 3 years, but my stream does, like my chat does. And what my chat has been able to do, or my community, I hate calling them a chat, but my community, what they have been able to do is they have taught me so much about myself. They've taught me humility. They've taught me how to be humble. They've taught me how to, recognize, because I used to be, when I first started making social media, and this is one of the problems why me and my first partner, we had our fallout. I always had to be the center. I always had to be the center of attention. I felt like I always had to be the spotlight. I always had to be up in front and stuff like that. And I was not the best person to be around. I was not the best person to work with. I was not the best person to collaborate with. And I understand that now. I didn't see it back then. And I wish I did, because it would have saved a couple relationships that I wish I had back. And those relationships were lost due to my own doing. I don't put that on anybody else. That's something that I have to wear on my sleeve and be accountable for. Um, but so when I finally realized that, I don't like to take credit for anything. I always say that, I'll have people in my chat say that, you've helped me with this, you've helped me with that, you've helped me with this. I'm like, I'm just a guy behind a camera. Anybody with a camera, a microphone, and an internet connection can do the exact same thing that I'm doing. There's nothing special about me. And my chat hates it when I say that. And they've done a really good job at helping me take credit for when I do something, because I spent so much time taking credit for things that I didn't do. And I never want to be that person again. I never want to fall into those habits again. So I tend to not take credit when I should, out of fear of becoming that person again. And they do a really good job of like, no, motherfucker, you just did something really badass. Fucking take credit for it for a little bit. But my chat has a lot of people in my community say that, I've helped them through a dark place. My community will never understand the dark place they pulled me out of. I've always had my wife, and my wife is my best friend. My wife is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. I have never known this level of happiness. Do we fight? Of course we do. Do we always agree? Fuck no. But I have never known this level of happiness. And she has been so amazing. So when I say this, it's not to take away from her, but it's really to highlight, the depths of which social media, and don't get me wrong, social media can be a very ugly place, as we all know. But when used by the right people and for the right reason, it has pulled me out of some of the darkest places of my entire life. And like a little example, um my dog. So we were going through some bad stuff at the time. Yo, Ed Fries, I play Fortnite with that guy. He's awesome. Um uh we were going through a really rough time. Money was tight, and my dog got diagnosed with a disease that was going to kill her. And like this dog's my baby. Like, you guys see, my dog's right here next to me. Um and we didn't have money to pay for the surgery that she needed, and she was going to die. Like, it was going to happen. It was going to kill her, and we could not afford the surgery. And within less than 24 hours, my chat had donated enough money for her to get her surgery, and I was able to call the vet and be like, "Hey, let's get the shit done as soon as possible." And that is strictly because of my chat stepped up, and they're like, "Look, we got you. We got it. Here's $20 here, here's $30 here, here's $2 here, here's this here and that here. We're gonna send you some dog treats and some dog toys, and here's a new dog bed so she's comfortable after the surgery." And if it wasn't for my community, I would have lost one of my best friends.
That is absolutely amazing, and totally understandable why you would call them family, because that is what family is supposed to do. They're supposed to be there for you through every tough time in your life and stuff like that, and help when needed. And when you have a community that does that, you can't help but feel like they're family.
No, my community has stepped up, and I hate to say because I share a community with a bunch of different streamers. Anybody who interacts, as you guys have seen, anybody who interacts with my stream in any way, shape, or form, they get shout outs. I tell them to go follow these people, support the ones who support us. You guys have rated us numerous times. We throw the shout outs up because it's not my community, it's ours. It belongs to everybody. It's not anything that I own. It's there for everyone to have a piece of. So I hate to say my community, but the Twitch community associated with my channel has stepped up time and time and time and time again.
Yeah, and that's really in reference to why we started this channel, and really in a nutshell why it's called Our Local Establishment. There's no me in that name, there's no I in that name, it's our, and that's the first thing you hear is our, because
Yeah.
as much fun as it is to go to a local establishment, which I don't know, for me always represented a place you went with friends and you just had a good time. You didn't necessarily have to drink a beer. You don't necessarily have to do anything. All you're doing is just enjoying the company of the people around you. And that's what I loved about it. If you guys watch Cheers, it's that atmosphere that, you know, you just come so, it's just so infectious.
It is.
That you just want to be a part of it. But then you add the word our, because what better way to unite people than have that word, which I think is such a powerful word when you actually think about it. But I do want to kind of ask you, because the one thing that did connect a lot of us is professional wrestling.
Yeah,
What is it about professional wrestling today that keeps HeelKevin energetic?
Before I get to that, I just want to say, if I ever say my community again, that's just me reverting back to my Southeast Georgia education, which isn't worth the paper it's printed on. If I ever say my community, I mean our, and like I said, it doesn't belong to me. But anyway, back to your question. What is it that keeps me involved? Pro wrestling it's a journey, man. It's poetry, it's art, it's brutal, it's elegant, it's all these things wrapped into one. And to break down what I said at first, it's a journey. Everybody always, like, we hear it all the time, you know that shit's fake, right? Well, you know, everything you watch on TV and every movie you've ever seen is fake in some way. Even documentaries are buffed at some point or another. One of my favorite movies is Lone Survivor, featuring a Navy SEAL by the name of Marcus Luttrell. And Marcus Luttrell will tell you straight up. There's a scene in the movie where Marcus Luttrell kills a Taliban with a knife. And in interviews, he goes, "I've never killed anybody with a knife. That's a complete fucking fabrication." So everything you see in some way, shape, or form is buffed, or it's overinflated. So that argument, get to hell, you do understand. Like, I always tell people, like, so you're a Harry Potter fan, you do understand that he's not casting real spells, right? Like, they're not fighting Voldemort. If you're a fan of Transformers, there's no alien life form in the shape of a fucking Camaro fighting over a light source and coming to Earth and all this other, like, you know, that shit doesn't really happen, right? Like, so save that argument for yourself. As Ken Anderson once said, wrestling is real, people are fake.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I truly love about professional wrestling is it is the true definition of an all-inclusive sport. There is something for everybody. Maybe you're not the best in-ring athlete. Well, they still need sound guys. They still need commentary. They still need ring announcers. They still need ring crew, setup, teardown, drivers, everything. There is something in the world of pro wrestling for absolutely everybody. And if you want to be a part of wrestling, like I said, you might not be the best in-ring performer, but you might be able to run one hell of a light show. You might be the best pyro guy on the face of the planet. You can talk with a silver tongue and you're a great commentator. So what hooks me about pro wrestling is it literally is a place for everybody to enjoy. You just got to find where you fit and where you enjoy it the most at. And yeah, that's what I love about it, man. There's something for everybody.
I always laugh at when people say wrestling is fake, and then I was like, okay, then how come somebody like Dwayne Johnson is the number one act in Hollywood right now? Why is a Hall of Famer, and I use that term loosely, but it's factual information, in Donald Trump, a former president of the United States of America? And why did Chris Nowinski, a runner-up of a wrestling reality show, change the world in understanding what a concussion is, and literally educated everyone in this world to where professional sports leveled up in awareness when it came to the head injuries? if that is fake, then explain to me what real is, because I have lost translation into your definition of real now.
No, 100%. And like I said, there's so many fandoms out there. Whether it be like I said, Harry Potter, Stranger Things, Pokemon, fucking Power Rangers. But you want to choose wrestling to say that's fake. So either one, you have a very limited library of things that you watch, or you're just picking and choosing at this point. Like if you want to sit here and say that wrestling is fake, you give me 5 things that you're a fan of, and I can tell you how each one of those things are fake. Period.
And just before we carry on, Ed saying that he's got to go lay back down, COVID kicking his ass. He's going to watch video on demand later, but great to see the three of us on screen together. Ed, man, hopefully you get better soon, buddy. Take care. Kick COVID.
Ed, you are out of there. Ed, you are absolutely awesome. I enjoy playing video games with you. Thank you for stopping by. Can't wait to see you back in the chat, man. And you're just an awesome fucking dude, man.
But back to the topic of wrestling being fake and stuff too, is like anytime I hear it, I always challenge people, they go down to your local promotion, go find out when they have a weekend camp, couple of day camps.
Take a bump.
Go ahead and take a few bumps and get in there, run a rope one time, and let me know how fake you feel after you're done with it.
1000%, dude. Take a fucking bump. Like, I'm not going to walk into a boxing ring and be like, oh, this shit's fake, because I've never been punched in the face by a boxer before. But I imagine it don't feel too good.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah. I remember we had a training facility once that shared a boxing with a boxing training facility as well. So I saw a boxing ring, and my first thing is, I wonder what taking a bump in a boxing ring felt like.
We have in common, bro.
And I'm like, I know it's gonna hurt, but how much? I'm way too curious of a human being to do this. This is why I do not, I don't like going to paintball, because I am that idiot that's like, well, I wonder if I could just do this, and I just go rogue. Shout out to our sponsor, by the way. And I'll just like walk in the middle of the field, and I'll take about 20 shots right to the nose, and I'm like, yeah, that was stupid. Yeah, so I decided not to just run the ropes and do a normal bump. No, I did a good old flip bump.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, like I said, when I joined the military, it was really.
I know why my lower back hurts now.
Yeah.
And like it's like, man, like, well, that in 19 years of doing that, but at the same time, like, yeah.
When
that's
I was
no joke.
When I was in the military, like I said, it was really hard to find places to train. I still tried to keep it up for a little bit. And one of my first duty stations, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, where I finally settled at the apartment I lived in, there was a boxing gym like inches away from where, like, I can sit on my front porch and spit on the front door of this boxing studio. And so I go into the boxing studio and I see a ring, just like any other pro wrestling fan or anybody who's done indie wrestling, because I had done indie wrestling for we ran weekly shows. So once a week, we had training twice a week, so 3 times a week, and then pay-per-view one Sunday a month. Over the course of 3 years is what I did before I joined the military. And I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can go take some bumps in this ring, kind of stay up to snuff on it. When I go home on leave, maybe book a couple matches, be good to go. So I step into this boxing ring, dude, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to start out with a bump. And the way I always took my bumps is I didn't just put my hands out and just fall back. I would jump as high as I could, flat back it, and just crash to the mat. And that's why I always took my first bump, because nothing is going to hurt more than that. So if I can take the first bump like that, I can take everything else I'm about to do. No problem. Man, it felt like I flat backed on concrete. It hurt so. Every bone in my back popped. It felt like my lungs exploded, and it felt like I cracked a rib. And I was like, "Oh, that fucking hurt." Let me try to run the ropes a little bit. Keep the technique. Muscle memory and shit. So I take off full speed into this fucking rope, dude, and I go to hit it like you would hit wrestling ropes. I went end over end, I hit the rope. Next thing I know, I'm staring up at the lights. I can see the tips of my toes and the back of my head on the fucking pavement floor.
Oh shit!
That was the last time I tried to bump in a boxing ring. They are not the same, guys. For anybody watching, they are not the same.
One of the dumbest things I did was also one of the most fun things I do. But anytime I would have crossed paths with Gangrel, we would always
Love him.
have a floor bump contest. And now it was only a few times. And the last time was also quite entertaining because I was like, okay, the match I was in, I knew a few were coming.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'm going to do 3. How many are you going to do? This is the first time he's like, kid, let me tell you something. You're going to hit a point in life where that's the dumbest thing you're going to ever want to do.
Yeah.
But he still beat me that night.
Yeah, nobody wants to take, and this is no insult to any promotion or anything like that, but this is also my problem with Darby Allin. You don't want to take $5 bumps for $2 shows.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, that's the thing, though. You find out very quickly that, and in a way, money can teach you this too, but when you have $1, you got to learn the true value of $1 before you understand money.
Yeah.
And to really understand, the so-called bump card, you got to really understand your body. And if you don't value your body, then your career is going to be short. You're not going to have much of one because you're going to waste everything you have for little to no reason. The payoff needs to be great. And that's what professional wrestling is in a nutshell. That's where the art of professional wrestling comes from. Getting the maximum value over something small. I mean, getting the most out of $1 is by far the definition of pro wrestling and the art behind it. Because if I can make you cheer the loudest and all I did was hit a punch, that's when I know I have something special going on.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like you take a guy like you could take those 5 or 6 floor bumps, and going back to what you said about a bump card, Harley Race said it better than anybody. Everybody's got a bump card, and once it's done, it's done. You can't add any, you can't take any away. When it's done, it's done. But you can do those 3-4 floor bumps, and all right, that's cool. But there's no real story there. The story is when you have a guy who hasn't been dropped, hasn't taken a bump all match long, and you're giving him everything. You drop kick him and he stumbles. You punch him and he stumbles. You hit him with a chair and he stumbles. And then at the very last second, you muster up all the energy you have and you put everything you have into the next shot, and he goes down. And the crowd will pop 3 times as loud for that first bump than they did for all 3 of your floor bumps combined. And you took so much less damage.
It's funny mentioning the $2 bump as well too, because we're doing training this one time. It's at the end of the show, so we got all the guys tearing down the ring. We get down to just the ring boards on the ring at this point. One of the trainers goes, I dare one of you idiots to bump on the bare ring boards for $2. Sure enough, one of the young guys, I got this, gets in there, straight flat back bump onto these boards. We're all laughing at him.
Did they already take the cables out from under the ring?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
So he was hurting pretty bad, but I guess he earned his Tim Hortons coffee that evening.
Oh, my God. Working for hot dogs and a handshake.
Depending on the year, I don't even know if that's worth it. Sorry, Tim's.
Jesus.
But McDonald's owns you now on the coffee game, and I don't even drink coffee.
You're not wrong.
No. So we talk about, we've already talked about like a lot, like your history getting into the streaming. We talked about wrestling. We talked about you being in a family of George the Animal Steel. Was he one of your biggest influences as a kid, or who are some of your favorites to watch, whether it was growing up or right now? And what about him do you think just, brings that out of you?
So the thing with George was, like I said, yes, he was my uncle once again, because this always gets twisted, by marriage. We were not blood related. He was married into my family. I want to make that very clear. I'm not trying to impersonate anything. I'm not trying to lie to the viewers or anything like that. He was married into my family. We were not blood related. But it was also when I was really, really young. Um, I've probably met him twice. I've probably like sat in the same room as him 2 times. And once again, very, very young. But going back and watching some of his stuff, that's kind of where I became a fan of his much later in life. So he was not one of my overall influences. One of my biggest influences was superstar Billy Graham. And I just loved the way he worked. I loved how he was able to make people hate him so effortlessly. I loved when he literally destroyed Bob Backlund's championship by smacking it against the ring post, tearing it in half. The dude was jacked to shit. He was an amazing, amazing heel, great bad guy. Loved everything about him. And from the time I found Superstar Billy Graham's work, because once again, these were YouTube videos I was going back and watching. When I found Superstar Billy Graham's work, that led me to Jake the Snake and Rowdy Piper and Gold Dust and all these other people who were. I always enjoyed the people the most who were able to tell such an amazing story and hook you and invest you without ever stepping in between the ropes. The story that these guys told leading up to the things they did, it was just as good as the match, if not better. Especially hearing Jake the Snake on the microphone, Paul Heyman on the microphone. It's you can't believe how they're doing the things they're doing without really doing anything. I remember a Jake the Snake promo clear as day where he gets really close to the mic and he starts talking like this. And that's all he's doing is just whispering. And you're trying to figure out what he's saying, and you're like, what? And then at the very end of it, he goes, "You see that? I don't have to say a fucking word to get you guys to listen to me." And he walked away. I was like, this motherfucker. And he had me. He had me.
Yeah, I'm finding that you're talking about guys like that have the art of the microphone, and I'm seeing like a lot of people can cut a promo nowadays. It's not difficult to cut a promo, but to captivate you, to actually get your every aspect of your emotional involvement on that promo is a completely different story. The one guy that I'm more and more impressed with, and I started picking up on him when he was in AEW, but because you know his story, you know it. I'm finding Cody Rhodes is one of the most underrated microphone guys in the game right now because he understands how to tell a story with his words.
I am a Cody Mark, bro. I am a Cody Mark. Signed, sealed, and delivered. I am a Cody Rhodes. I am a Cody Rhodes Mark, my brother.
Yeah, no, he is absolutely phenomenal and doing just great work. And I do love the fact that he's bringing that almost 80s style back in his repertoire.
He resonates with you, man.
Yeah.
He relates to you. He relates to the struggle. Everybody has been through the things that he is talking about, whether you live in the shadow of a sibling, whether you never lived up to expectation, whether you had to fight in the trenches, whether you had to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. He resonates. And that's the difference. Anybody can talk, but can you resonate with somebody? Can you make them feel what you're saying? Can you make the hair stand up on the back of the neck? Can you give them goosebumps? And if you can, they will follow you into the gates of hell.
And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that in that time period when he left the WWE before AEW, he went out touring. He went out to every small center that he could, work for every promotion he could, making those connections. And such a humble dude when he was out in our neck of the woods here and getting to be backstage there with him and stuff like that was such an opportunity. But he comes in very humble. You know, he's not one of these guys that expects people to carry his bags for him or anything. No, he's got it cased. He's got his stuff handled. He takes care of business properly. And I mean, it was an absolute honor not only to meet him, but to get to call a match at the same time. Like I'm the same as you. I am a big mark for him. definitely ranks up there for me as one of the best in the business today.
So I've got a really funny Cody story. As you can see, I have the ROH title right here, the one that Cody held, the one that he retired. And I live probably about 45 minutes away from Daly's place.
Okay.
And we went to the first ever Fight for the Fallen. And I took 2 belts with me to Fight for the Fallen. I took that one and that one, the 10 pounds of gold.
Nice.
And I had them both with me, and the goal was to get them signed by Cody Rhodes. We stood in line. So the gates opened at 6. We got there at 11. The gates opened at 6. And just trying to catch glimpses of people walking up. Maybe we'll see them, whatever. Maybe we'll get lucky. We didn't. So we stood there in the Florida heat in the middle of July forever. And anybody who's watching who is also a viewer of mine, this is the same day the infamous I lost my sock story happened. But so make it through the show, make it in there, watch the show. I end up getting right up next to the ring while Cody's in the ring. I'm just holding both belts above my head, looking like a fucking idiot for as long as I can. And those belts get heavy after a while, so I had to put them down. Still didn't get them signed. Cody didn't even see me. We're getting ready to leave. We walk around back. One of the guys, also the guy that I was doing belt reviews with, or no, it was my wife. My wife suggested that we walk around back. And so we walk around back, and there's a group of people there, and we're all standing there. One guy's got like this whole tray of Funko Pops that he wants to get signed. You know, one of those eBay seller guys who gets a shit ton of stuff signed, sells it for hundreds of dollars on fucking eBay, like a jackass. But anyway, it's, no offense to anybody who does that, but if you do it, you're a jackass. Anyway, not sorry. I said what I said. So anyway, we see a bunch of people walk out. Justin walks out. JR walks out. Kenny Omega walks out. The Lucha Brothers walk out, and we're waiting on Cody. And we've been standing there for probably an hour and a half at this point. And my wife goes, "How much longer do you want to wait here?" And the thing is, I wanted to get the belt signed for my son. It wasn't even for me. I wanted to get it signed for my son. And all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, we'll give it about 20 more minutes. And if nothing happens, nothing happens. It's like, all right. Right as we're about to walk away, we see Cody and Brandy walk up to the gate. So the gate's right here. We're standing here. The gate is here. Cody and Brandy are right here. We can see them. They're about to walk out. Like, okay, here's our chance. All of a sudden, this blacked out Dodge Durango pulls into the gate, turns around, and now the headlights are facing us. They're about to pull out of the gate. Cody and Brandy get in the car. And I'm like, well, there was our chance. It's not going to happen now. I guess we can go. And as we're about to turn to leave, the Durango starts to pull out. As we go to turn to leave, the Durango stops. And the driver gets out of the car. He walks down the aisle, and he points right at me. And he points at me very aggressively. And Cody's driver is jacked. This dude is huge. And he points at me just like that. 2 fingers. Bam. He goes, "You. Come here." Okay. So I walk up to him, and he goes, "Mr. Rhodes would like to talk to you." Excuse me? Like, yeah, he wants to talk to you. I was like, let's go. I'm nervous as hell, butterflies like crazy. Get up to the drive. Cody's sitting in the driver's seat. Brandy's sitting in the back seat. Cody looks at me and he goes, "It's a cool looking belt you got." I was like, "Thank you, sir. I was hoping I can get your autograph for my son." He's like, "Sure. You got a pen?" Never go to a wrestling event an autograph and not have a Sharpie. I didn't have one. Now, if you look at the belt, the strap is black. The driver looks at me and he goes, "I have a pen, but it's a black one." And I'm like, "Great, it's not going to show up." But the backing of this belt is red. So the driver goes, "I have a black one."
Right here. It's right there.
and he hands it to Cody.
Oh,
Cody takes one look at it, he holds it, and he goes, this belt design is a classic. They're never going to use this belt again. And I was like, we got it because it's the last one you held. My son is a big fan of yours. I looked at Brandy. I was like, Brandy, you had a great match tonight. She said, thank you. And Cody signed it for my son, and he signed it 3 times. He signed it twice as Cody Rhodes. He signed it once as once as Stardust and twice as Cody. And right there it says 200. That's my 10-year-old son. And he goes, I'm going to sign it a couple extra times just in case it smears. And he didn't have to do that. He by no means had to stop his car, tell his driver to go get me, have a conversation with me, and sign the belt. But he did. He made time for it, and it was just a really cool moment. And it's one of my favorite wrestling stories that I have.
The nice thing about Cody Rhodes is you can watch. As Bobby, I think, is going to be taking just a leave. I think probably has to go to the bathroom. I know that's usually my my reasoning. But no, I was just watching him on Impulsive this morning, actually, because I was up stupid amount of time. What I like is how genuine he always is. No matter what. He gets older, he gets wiser. He is first off, he's the definition of an old soul in professional wrestling. There is no in and outs about that. That is who he is, and it's amazing because he has never, nor will he ever, lose track of what made him. And I think that is so amazingly respectful of a human being.
Yes.
But in terms of Cody Rhodes, he's still the guy that will geek out over a comic book conversation, as he did on there as well. He's dressed up in the 9 with beautiful suits. He knows he has an insanely larger neck tattoo that may not be the most veered look in the world.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he's still a child at heart. And I can very much say from personal experience, if you ever lose that inner child in you, you have definitely lost a part of who you are. And you can tell that what makes him that old soul is he still looks at something and wonders, what does the 9-year-old me feel about that? And he still gets giddy about the reality. Yeah. And just watching him on the bump, even just shed a tear of joy and excitement, but of emotional value of saying a Rhodes is going to headline WrestleMania. You just know how much that means to the guy. It is so nice now that in professional wrestling that we have shed the light of being drug addicted, idiotic people
Steroid
that
infused.
and just we've shed that light, and now there is a lot of good people. They're capable of doing larger than life things for the positive. You see people give back to the community, like guys like Titus O'Neil, which is absolutely just amazing. But then you also have guys like AJ Styles who go out of their way to help out people. You see Cody Rhodes do the same thing. You have a plethora of professional wrestlers using their platform to do well within the world. It's really a feel-good business now if you understand what it does.
There's I actually got to meet AJ Styles outside of wrestling, just like randomly in the wild, and we had a great conversation. And it's funny that you bring him up because him and Cody are two of those guys. Like, you see a lot of wrestlers now, they'll do meet and greets, they'll do signings, they'll take pictures, and like when you're there, they're like, "Oh yeah, I love the fans," and da 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 da. And as soon as they walk away, I'm tired of these motherfuckers. Cody and AJ will never do that. Cody and AJ are two very genuine people who just love meeting fans. They love fans who share their passion. They love people who are in Cody's words, keeping the business alive because they're still watching the product. They're still talking about the product. They're still hooked to the product. They are still digesting the content that has made him who he is. And those are two of the most genuine professional wrestlers I have ever had the privilege of meeting in my entire life.
Bobby, you get over there?
Yeah, I'm good. I just got catching up with the conversation. Yeah,
Yeah.
had to go take care of some important business.
Number
It's
one or
called,
number
called
two?
having a it's called having a 40-year-old man bladder. That's what it is.
Yeah, I was right. I knew it. But yes, we talk about making us what we are, and we wouldn't be anything with our beautiful sponsors over at Rogue Energy. So before we go anywhere, we just wanted to ask people to go check out rogueenergy.com. And if by chance you like what you see and you want to make a purchase, well, make sure you're using the promo code OLEPODS. And as a thank you for checking out that beautiful website, you can save yourself 10% off your order. I mean, I'm drinking some right now. Strawberry kiwi. Delicious. And I do
That blank
recommend
open
it.
space was bothering the shit out of me. I'm sorry, guys.
It's all good.
And just maybe when you go to Rogue Energy, you can actually fuel up and have the same energy as our guest below, HeelKevin. Bobby, do you have anything you want to ask?
Nothing I can think of at the moment. Anyway, hopefully the chat will start to fill in on some of that there too. But I mean, we could go over to got to be some topics in wrestling for the week that we could talk about.
Yeah. Sami Zayn, I think, is the hottest thing going in pro wrestling. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, of course.
I'm nervous.
It's official. Him and Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Undisputed Championship at Elimination Chamber live in Montreal, Canada.
You know who's going to lose?
Sami Zayn.
Cody Rhodes. This is why. And this is just my opinion. Let's go back to the Yes movement. Dave Bautista comes back. Wins the Rumble, gets the title shot. And by all accounts, this should have been a great thing. Very good pro wrestler, returning legend, has a very big name, and could headline WrestleMania. But that was Daniel Bryan's year. Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't Daniel Bryan, we rejected it like crazy. And we hated it as fans, and we didn't like it. We couldn't stand it. Shit got bad. And now they're doing the same thing with Sammy. The crowd wants Sammy to win. It's in Montreal, his hometown. This is the longest storyline the WWE's put together in the last couple of years. Sammy is the most over person in the WWE right now. He's going to go into this match and he is going to lose, and that is going to turn that fan favorite into nuclear fucking heat, and the fans are going to reject anything that does not end with Sammy winning the title.
Unless
just
somebody
like they did with Daniel Bryan and Dave Bautista.
Although you could throw an X Factor in there, and another heel Kevin could be on the horizon. Imagine Kevin Owens screws Sami Zayn at the Elimination Chamber in Montreal, creating a Montreal screw job of sorts, and goes into a feud with former friend Sami Zayn. Just saying. We could get around this. We could get Cody into the picture again.
I mean, I know there's ways to do it, but they're I never thought I would say this, but the story with Sammy is just too fucking good.
Oh,
they caught lightning in a bottle. It is way too fucking good. It is way too good. I wanted before the Rumble, I wanted Sammy to come back, and I had a plan on how it would happen. And I wanted Sammy to win the title. I wanted it to be a triple threat, Roman versus like Drew and Brock or whoever. Two people that could legitimately beat Roman Reigns to the point where Paul Heyman had no plan. Paul Heyman had no idea what was going to happen. He's like, look, we got to figure something out. And then Sammy does the whole, excuse me, guys. I think I have a plan. And Sammy would say, make it a fatal 4-way. We'll take those two out. I will lay down, let you pin me. You walk out with the titles. Everything's good. Okay, let's do it. Match is now a fatal 4-way. Gets to the match. Sammy's doing everything he's supposed to do. Sammy goes to lay down for him, reverses the pin, rolls Roman up, and runs away with the titles.
It's sneaky for sure.
I do have a theory that we'll see Kevin Owens at this show. I think it's far too obvious to think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will not be joined at the hip in some capacity in Montreal in this storyline. But the one thing
I think they're
we
the ones
have
that dethrone the Usos.
we have and that we have one thing that we haven't seen yet. And we haven't seen Kevin Owens respond to Sami Zayn, basically taking that bullet form for the Royal Rumble. And if they do not give us an interaction between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens until Elimination Chamber, then this again is just adding so much to that slow burn story that they're playing. Because I do think an official reunion between the two needs to happen in Montreal more than any other place. The story is too good. The fact that we have a show in Montreal on this road to WrestleMania is absolutely perfect. If Triple H somehow sneaked that into the storyline, then kudos to him. But I do think we're going to see. I don't think both Usos are disqualified from appearing. In fact, I think Jey Uso did get a pardon, whether it was last year or the year before, to do a show in Canada. So I think it is potentially possible for Jey Uso to have a pardon to do something in Montreal. And if that's the chance, I think it's only apropos that Jey Uso screws Sami Zayn and rejoins the bloodline, only to have Kevin Owens pay it back. And now we do have seeds set for Usos versus KO and Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. And I really don't know if that's going to be a negative to Sami Zayn, because I think Sami Zayn has entered this place that regardless of what he's doing, people are going to follow him. I think he is that guy now. Yes, he does need a world title run at some point. I just don't know if this is the time you overtake Cody Rhodes for it.
The only thing I think Sami Zayn needs more than a title run is a fucking haircut. He looks like everybody's drunk uncle at the barbecue.
And maybe that's why everybody loves the guy. Maybe they love that drunk uncle.
Probably.
Yeah.
But epically, that makes for a very strong tag team matchup, if not one of the best booked tag team matchups that they've had going into a WrestleMania in forever.
We also have to think that as much as there needs to be that undisputed guy to take the title off Roman Reigns, there has to be that same undisputed tag team that takes the titles off the Usos. And that's why I don't think it's Ricochet and Braun Strowman. I didn't think it was anybody over on Monday Night Raw, but I think the two most over acts right now that people are wanting to see together are Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Mm-hmm. And together they form that tag team. I think the only two single guys that could make that same argument would be Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. It's just they unfortunately don't have the story and the momentum right now for this to be a thing. But
I agree.
Maybe in SummerSlam or down the road, we get to see that tag match between KO and Sami Zayn and DIY. I think we would all, in the words of Lonely Island, do something in our pants if we were to have that match.
It'd be a great match. It'd be a damn good match.
So just try to think Elimination Chamber coming up for the U.S. title. What are you guys' thoughts on it being U.S. Championship, taking the focus away from the main title anyway, or putting more focus on the U.S. belt? What are your thoughts of that?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I love one of the things Triple H did almost right out of the gate when he took over was he started putting more prominence on the Intercontinental and the United States Championship. Mm-hmm. The shades of Harley Race with Tommaso Ciampa wearing the robe and showing the championship history. You had the SmackDown Cup for the Intercontinental Championship opportunity. They have done such an amazing job. And one of the decisions that I feel like gets a lot of heat, or no, I don't feel like it. I know it did because I've seen it. Austin Theory cashing in for the United States Championship. Now, in my opinion, I loved it from the start. And if anybody thinks I'm lying, please go to my TikTok, HeelKevin1, scroll down to the videos. You will see me advocating for this from the jump. For the simple fact, Austin Theory has essentially changed the course of the WWE for always and forever now. Because he has opened the door for the Money in the Bank briefcase to be cashed in for any title, anywhere, anytime. Go back to when Otis won the Money in the Bank briefcase. We were all begging WWE to allow them to cash in on the tag titles to give Heavy Machinery a push. We all wanted it. We wanted them to be able to cash in for another title. And now that we got it, we all majority of fans rejected it. It does a couple things. One, it opens up the door for new Money in the Bank winners, because going into Money in the Bank, you start to look at it like, okay, when you're trying to figure out who's going to win, which one of these guys could be a world champion? Which one of these guys could step into those shoes? And then it kind of makes it somewhat predictable on who's going to win. But now you have to think, who could be United States champion? Who could be Intercontinental champion? Who could be NXT champion? Who could be whatever champion? So now you can have a guy like Butch or Pete Dunne, who isn't necessarily seen in the world championship light, and have them cash in for, they can win, and now they can cash in for the Intercontinental. They can cash in for the U.S. The Brawling Brutes can cash in for the tag teams. And it opens up so many doors and so many possibilities, and it takes those titles that have somewhat been forgotten about, puts them on the same platform as the world title, because now you're saying that this title is just as important. This is the one that I want. And we go back to what we're told as kids, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You take a guy like Jimmy Uso or Jey Uso, who have made it no secret they've never once thought about a singles title. Never. Their Mount Everest is the tag team championships. So they win Money in the Bank, and now they can cash in for the tag titles instead of the world title that they don't give a shit about, therefore making their journey through Money in the Bank pointless, because they don't want what you're offering. Now they can cash in for whatever they want. It's whatever title they think is most important. It's what title they want to go after. It gives more power to the superstars, opens up more possibilities, and it puts them in the same light as the world title and the universal title. And I think having the Elimination Chamber, where now the championship is on the line, the Undisputed Universal title is being defended, but it's not the headliner. It's not the Elimination Chamber. The Elimination Chambers are the U.S. and the Intercontinental Championship. And to make that kind of move,
It's
to
just
make
the
that
US,
kind of statement, I think it's incredible.
Yeah. And that's what I like too. As long as they don't make the stories obvious, I think that's the only thing I hope they don't do. Like, if they were to, signal, say, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins potentially breaking up, and they put Montez Ford, say, over for a Money in the Bank, he's probably not going to be world title right off the gates, and he's going after one of those U.S. Intercontinental.
Mm-hmm.
That would really put that in an obvious direction. But it would be interesting to see, like, okay, now if we give it to somebody, say, like LA Knight, for example.
Yeah.
One promo it takes from LA Knight now changes everything. He's another guy, when we talk about microphone work, that guy brings everyone in. And he's someone that could not only make the Money in the Bank briefcase something of more importance itself, but understand that now that signifies the opportunity, and the opportunity is what every wrestler craves for, and he holds that in the palm of his hands. So all champions will be on notice, and that brings a lot of unpredictability behind it, because it's only the fans that talk themselves in and out of the situation. It's the superstars, the wrestlers, that make something worthwhile. It's the Twitters that say, oh, we're only going to talk about LA Knight being champion, so when he goes for the Intercontinental title, that's a letdown. No, because let's face it, we all want these titles to be important. And the number one thing is you have to believe that they're important as well. I believe that the product has always made these titles look important. It's perception that has looked down on them because they're not the number one.
I completely agree.
Yeah, no,
but
it also,
I do agree with Triple H making that more well known that these titles can main event a show and headline.
Yes.
Sorry, Bobby.
Yeah, no, it's good. It also makes like these championships, if the runs last for any period of time, and throwing in those X factors of always watching her back, I could end up having the Money in the Bank cashed in. I could be set defending this thing in an elimination chamber featuring 5 other very hungry superstars, wrestlers coming at me to take my title. So now your title reign lasts over a year, lasts a couple of years. It starts to look a lot more prominent and make the belt look that much more prominent as well at the same time. So it is a very smart move to do it. I'm very happy and looking forward to watching, although won't be able to watch in a live capacity at this year's Elimination Chamber, but it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to get home that night and fill another 3 hours of wrestling in my evening.
Well, and we have that, but we also have, like, for the women's #1 contendership match for the Raw Women's title, there are a lot of new faces as potential suitors. And I'll start off with who I think is the biggest wildcard dark horse, and I'm so happy I was in the audience to see this coming back, but Piper Niven, who I think could be an absolute star in this
Monster.
match. Right? And I would love it. I'm not even going to lie. I also want to see Nia Jax in this match.
Yeah.
I want to see this place.
Stop it.
Freaking
Chris,
crazy.
Stop.
But
no.
Give me a chance.
Stop
Give me a
it.
chance.
No. Stop
Give me
it.
a chance, Kevin.
Stop
Give me a
it.
chance. Give me a chance. I love the fact that in wrestling, we look at returns and we want to go ape shit in the positive of reasons. There are 2 superstars that came out of Royal Rumble with nuclear heat, and that were Roman Reigns and Nia Jax. For obvious reasons, having these super villains in wrestling is as important as having monster superhero faces.
Oh, shut up.
I understand if nobody likes Nia Jax, but to say that supervillain has no place in wrestling will only be a detriment to having over-the-top baby faces in the long haul too. You need people like that too. And if somehow they can correct Nia Jax in the ring and keep that heat, that's going to help people down the road. Plus, she's the perfect female inclusion in the bloodline right now.
No, stop it. You stop it right now. So you wash your own fucking mouth out with soap. Listen, I agree that there's nuclear heat, but there's a difference between bad guy heat and go the fuck away heat. And Nia Jax has go the fuck away heat. Nia Jax has ended the career and shortened the career of multiple Hall of Famers and others inside the wrestling business in just a ring. Imagine the damage she's going to do in an elimination chamber. At what point does she become a deficit and a liability to your company? I don't give a shit if people. I don't give a shit. Nia Jax is unsafe. She refuses to train. She refuses to get any better because I'm in the bloodline and that's my family and they can't do anything to me because of my fucking name. Shut up. Shut up. You have drove Kairi Sane out of the WWE. You have shortened the careers of Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Charlotte, and Bayley. How many more chances does this person get? If I worked for you, Chris, if you owned your own company and I worked for you and I continuously cost you millions and millions of dollars, at some point you'd be like, look, you're costing me too much money. You got to go away. And if anybody doesn't think that she cost the company millions of dollars, go back to Survivor Series, Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey when she broke her nose because the little fucking T-Rex arms that she uses. Oh, you're hitting me. Oh, you're hitting me. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Those goddamn T-Rex arms she uses, and then she throws a wild punch. If you don't think that main event cost the company so much fucking money, you have not been watching wrestling long enough, because nobody wanted to see Charlotte versus Ronda. Everybody wanted Charlotte versus fucking Becky, and she robbed us of that. She robbed us of the career of Kairi Sane. She robbed us of months off the careers of so many other talented women, to the point where their husbands were going to Twitter saying, please don't let this careless jackass hurt my wife again. Shout out Ember Moon's husband. But it blows my mind that if you worked at a car dealership, okay, Bobby, I'm going to talk to you because I hope you still have some sense about you, because Chris clearly doesn't anymore. Bobby, if you owned a car dealership and if you owned a car dealership, Bobby, and you hired me, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take this truck, I'm going to drive it over here, and I smashed into every other vehicle on your lot. And then you forgave me, and I did it again. And then you forgave me, and I did it again. How many more chances are you going to give me?
Well, personally, not only am I not giving you any more chances, I'm going to take a strong look at my own life and wonder why the fuck I keep giving somebody that many chances.
Has Nia Jax not had that exact amount of chances?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Not only that, but she's just fucking.
I understand she got booed unanimously. I understand the crowd hated it. And Chris was there in person and I wasn't. So he has more knowledge than I do. What am I looking at here?
Yeah. What do we got?
I can't
You're
quite
seeing,
make it out.
You're seeing Chris Parrish in there?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. See that?
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah. I know what I'm talking about too. Just saying.
Oh, really? Because that's like top 500. I saw you low fours.
That's all right. Anybody else on it? Anybody else on it?
But no, I'm a firm believer in that there is bad guy heat and there's get off my fucking TV screen heat. And I think Nia Jax has the get off my TV screen heat.
If you can keep, I'm gonna put her in the same category as this guy, because this guy also wrecked the career of probably one of the best technicians ever in the world, and that is Bill Goldberg. If it wasn't for him, Bret Hart would still be doing something in pro wrestling today. I would have
Hey, he still complains.
a very yeah. Yeah.
I can guarantee you go down the list, you're going to find more people that Nia injured than Bill Goldberg. And I'm not a Bill Goldberg fan. I'm not advocating for him. I'm not sticking up for him.
No.
But you will find more people that Nia Jax is injured than almost anybody else.
Yeah, but I also do believe some of those injuries are fabricated. I also strongly believe that a lot of those are not based on one superstar. It's based on the decision making that those agents put them in.
With that decision should have been fire her sooner.
When you have a wrestling match and you have agents and you're telling people to do these moves too, they need to take just as much responsibility as people performing, because sometimes a bad idea is a bad idea does not mean it needs to be executed as well.
But you know as well as I do, there's a thing called calling it in the ring, and the agents don't know absolutely everything that's going to happen. And at the same hand, the agents are the ones performing the moves. And listen, here, when you are as big and strong as Nia Jax, and this is
sometimes
not me shaming,
there's also people taking moves improperly as well, and that's 100%. On them as much as 100%. The person doing. So
this is not me shaming bigger wrestlers. I love Awesome Kong, aka Karma. I thought she was amazing. This has nothing to do with the fact that she's a bigger wrestler. But when you are that big and that strong and your finishing move is a leg drop, it tells me you can't do anything else.
Take that, Hulk Hogan.
I was thinking
different time.
Yeah, different time. I know.
Back in that day, a crossbody off the top rope puts you down. A DDT ended your life.
Yeah.
Well, that's because the first time a DDT was used almost to end somebody's life because it was a mess up. One of the best backstories to a move that ended up being iconic, I think. But yeah, no, the art of DDT. Oh, man. The fact that it was a slip that created that move. What a story.
But I mean, I will intervene and say that, like, not only did I not need Nia Jax in the Royal Rumble, I don't need her in Elimination Chamber or on TV, period. I just find her fucking boring.
Beth Phoenix was in the arena. Yep. She was dressed and ready to go. Beth Phoenix got a massive pop. Why couldn't Beth Phoenix be number 30?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because people knew that would have canceled out Rhea Ripley. It does absolutely nothing for that story if she comes out and does not win or does not eliminate Rhea out of it.
There's plenty of ways to get a cheap elimination. There's plenty of ways to cheat.
I'm not going to lie. I also did not think Nia Jax was the perfect return. Or
you could have had Beth eliminate Rhea, but Dominic's under the ring and he slides a fucking stool out and her feet hit the stool. She's not on the ground, and fucking shit. Beth turns her back because she's on the ground. She's done. Rhea slides in and dumps her. There's plenty of ways out of it.
You don't want to. I think you don't want to involve men in women matches because of the heat James Ellsworth still had for that first Money in the Bank match.
Well, I mean, I don't think you're involving men into the actual wrestling of the match. It's
No.
essentially what Otis did for Mandy. He didn't get involved
Sure.
in the match. He just saved her.
No, but okay, but you gotta like, don't you think comedy gets a pass in wrestling?
I also think great heel work gets a pass, and that would have been an awesome heel move.
Yeah, I know. I personally rather have seen somebody else than Nia Jax. I am both like you guys on that one. Hell, I would have loved to see Naomi like everyone always wanted as well. I would have loved to see something else. However, I think the one thing that WWE got flack for about the Rumble was, oh, no surprises, even though I can guarantee you they tried and it just wasn't in the cards. And I think Booker T was probably one of the best options they had for the men's. I want to know more about why they thought Nia Jax was the right decision. I
can understand that.
I am open to hearing that because I'm questioning why they chose it too. All I know is that I think wrestling needs more supervillains like her, especially on the women's side. If you can find it outside her, even better. That's my olive branch I will throw. I don't know if they have a supervillain on the women's side, but holy cow, would that be awesome for that division.
I agree. I just don't think it needs to be Nia.
Now, is it because she makes so many botches inside the ring that they also had her botch her fucking entrance at the Royal Rumble too, coming out with 10 seconds left?
Bobby, we all know buttons are difficult, right? We all know how hard hitting.
Well, they are for me, but I'm also not being paid that much fucking money to sit here and do it. So, I mean, I'd try a whole lot better if somebody was slapping a bunch of cash in front of me. Like, come on.
How funny would it be if she's like, hit my music, and she goes to hit the wrong button and like she botched her own entrance on that?
That's how Jeff got hit with pyro.
Yeah. That's how Undertaker got almost too, because he
was all Nia's fault.
Expecting he wasn't expecting the flames. If people remember that one, he was not expecting the fire to come out. Those ones.
He had told the guy the flames were getting too close.
Yeah. So it's like sometimes people make mistakes too, and like it sucks. But I mean, oh no. Who do we see as a realistic person coming out of that women's elimination chamber? Because there's something to say about that resurgence of Asuka that I think if it's not her, Piper Niven, I think I might be disappointed.
That's exactly where I'm at. My first pick.
Eventually back on track.
My first pick is Piper because I know how good she is. I know how good of a match she can have. She's the perfect person to counteract the overwhelming strength of Bianca Belair. And I'm not a Bianca fan. I think she's an incredible athlete. I think she's incredibly talented. I think her promos are very boring. But I don't like Bianca Belair. And every time I say that, social media likes, it's racially motivated. No, it's not. Okay, it's fucking not. I hate when people use that argument. It's not. We're allowed not to like people. We're allowed to like certain people. We're allowed to not like and like certain events and everything. We're allowed to have our own opinions. Now there are some that are that way, but not here. Anyway, I think Piper Niven is the perfect pick to really show people just what she can do. But if not Piper, it's got to be Asuka. Those are the only two I'm willing to entertain.
Yeah, there. As what you just said about Bianca, I feel the exact same way with Raquel Rodriguez right now. I thought it was way too soon to see her on the main roster when I'm seeing people a lot more polished like Zoe Stark down there, who I thought absolute star in the Rumble match. That is how you make a first impression. Like when I see first impressions from NXT on the Rumble, that's how you do one. I bet you she is main event post WrestleMania, hands down. Yeah, to me, you could put Bayley back in that match, but I think that's redundant to this point, right?
Yeah, you've kind of beat that with a shovel.
And I mean, I think I'm at that same point where I am with Braun Breaker when it comes to Bianca Belair. I just want to see somebody else with that title. the title reign did zero for me. And I really think maybe this is the time where they got to think about, hey, we're combining both titles for the men's. We've combined the tag team titles. Should we maybe think about doing that and maybe down the road adding a mid-card women's championship instead?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a lot more logical for sure. And it's kind of an interesting dynamic too, because we've got two heels going after the SmackDown Women's Championship in that matchup in Charlotte and Rhea, technically. This landscape on
Charlotte's
Raw,
a baby face. She just forgets it when she's out there.
but the dynamic on Raw is really all we're left with is potentially a babyface and a babyface going one-on-one. And maybe it'll force the hand for some switch-ups. Maybe it'll force Bianca to have a little bit more personality. I think that's where a lot of people are making that disconnect from her. It's not that she's not a talented athlete. It's not that she's not
incredibly talented.
Oh yeah, and her capability in the ring is awesome too. But it's character-wise, she's become stale, boring. Nobody cares. They need something more. And again, putting up her against Piper Niven could show a lot of Bianca's pure strength that she possesses. If she could end up pulling off some of the moves to Piper Niven, being able to even hold her up in a vertical suplex, which I'm not sure, but I'm not doubting at the same time, it could create a moment that could make Bianca have a little bit more something to add to her arsenal that would make her stand out. But she definitely needs a refresh for sure. And losing the championship would give an opportunity for a refresh on her.
I'm still going to hold out that I would love to see a new version of the Hurt Business, but I would love to see it with a female. And if you can give me, say, Bobby Lashley, Street Profits, Bianca Belair, and maybe a Cedric Alexander, I think I could be down with that 100%. But like I want to see Bianca Belair in something other than a title picture right away. And I say that not because I don't want to ever see her in that again, but look at Charlotte Flair. Look how much like people are either her again or not as interested. And we make the joke, or I made the joke of saying, well, she's a babyface, she just doesn't know it. It's one of those, it's a confusion thing with Charlotte because she doesn't get that organic reaction out of the crowds like a Bayley or a Becky Lynch does. Bianca Belair has that, but man, let's make this count. Let's use that. We all know that the chase is a lot more valuable than the reign. So have somebody absolutely like demolish her out of this title or something. Like that's what I thought Rusev should have done with Cena at WrestleMania.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even Superman needs kryptonite, right? Even in wrestling.
100%.
And you know what? Sometimes people's kryptonite happens to be some of the other programs that we have here on OLE. We're going to quickly go over to our weekly calendar and we'll be right back with you. Check it out. There's all the ways that you can follow, like, subscribe to us here at our local establishment, and we appreciate everything you guys do for us. And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
But yeah, I think too, like, is there anything else like you say, like, I know like you also stream a lot of AEW watch alongs as well and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. What is it about AEW that you do think is just on fire right now, or that they are getting it right as well?
You know, 6 months ago, I would have had so many answers to this question. I think AEW does a good job of playing to the audience that WWE doesn't. They do a good job at playing to the unrealistic side of pro wrestling. Somebody could take 10 super kicks and still kick out. Somebody could take a Canadian destroyer and kick out at one. If you like that kind of fast-paced, high offense wrestling, then AEW is not a bad place to watch. And I enjoy AEW. I do. I try to find something that I can enjoy out of each and every one. But AEW has done a lot. And this could just be me being a Cody Mark. You can drastically tell a difference between AEW pre and post Cody leaving.
Mhm.
It has become night and day difference. I hated the fact that Darby Allin beat Samoa Joe for the TNT title, and then Joe come back and won it again. But you can clearly tell there are favorites in AEW. All the EVPs get suspended for the whole Punk thing, come back and immediately get the titles back. They didn't immediately get them. It was a best of 7 and they won. A best of 7 is technically one. It's a series, but it's one game. It's one match. It's just several rounds in the match. So yeah, they won immediately after coming back. I wish AEW would stop trying to compete with WWE all the fucking time. To this day, and I will hang my hat on this and I will die on this hill, and I'll probably get heat for it too. The biggest competition for WWE since WCW was Lucha Underground. And Lucha Underground was phenomenal. Lucha Underground was fantastic. Lucha Underground was absolutely fucking incredible. And one thing that Lucha Underground did not do was try to take shots or compete with WWE. They focused on themselves. They focused on their product. They focused on their roster, which is why, in my opinion, at the time, out of WWE, Lucha Underground, and Impact, Lucha Underground had the best roster and used their roster better than any of the other promotions. But every time you tune into AEW and you see Chris Jericho is going to be on TV tonight, you know there's going to be a pop shot at WWE. Anytime that MJF is on there, as much as I love him, there's going to be pop shots at WWE. Stop worrying about what they're doing. Understand that there is a clientele that likes your product over theirs, and there's a clientele that likes their product over yours. In the words of Allen Iverson, a famous basketball player, for anybody who doesn't know, in this life, there are going to be 1 million people that love you and 2 million that hate you. Take care of the 1 million that love you, and everybody else can go to hell. I understand you want to build your audience. I understand you want to build your reach. I understand you want to bring people into the product. The way you do that is by focusing on your own identity and making your product better, because every second you spend taking shots at another promotion or what they're doing, you are taking away from what you can be doing. I don't need to see Chris Jericho do a 20-minute promo on how his version of sports entertainment is better than any other version of sports entertainment when we know what he's talking about. Instead of doing that, instead of taking 20 minutes and giving it to that, give 20 minutes to Aleister Black. Give 20 minutes to Buddy Matthews. Give 20 minutes to somebody else that we want to see who we haven't seen in forever because you're too busy taking shots at other shit. It's just my opinion. Focus on your own, because when you have holes in your own game plan, when you have things that you need to fix, when you have things that you can do to make your product better, you shouldn't be taking shots at anybody else. Unless you are absolutely perfect, you can't take shots at anybody else.
It's actually really funny you say that, because watching TNA now Impact over the years, the reason why I think they are still around is because when they do focus on their stuff, it is some of the best stuff we've ever seen them do. Whether it's the X division right off the gate.
Best utilized women's division in wrestling right now is Impact.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But when did they start kind of going down is when they started trying to compete with, say, Monday Night Raw and put their show on Monday nights, or start flexing their muscles because they finally saw a bicep and they thought, yeah, I'm jacked. Who cares? Who cares about that stuff? like we talked about this earlier, as soon as you start losing focus, like on you, that's when, things go down. Like you got to worry about what's around you and what's making you good, because that's when you're going to be the most confident. I'd rather be the most confident guy in a seat in a venue full of 500 people than being the guy that lost in a seat of 10,000. Why? Because I know my work is going to be better. And if you have any pride in what you do, you want that work to be good, because without that work being good, you're never going to get the opportunity to be in front of that 10,000.
I can sit here and ask you guys and actually answer this question for me. When's the last time you heard WWE take a shot at AEW? Like on TV?
Probably when Sami
their air.
Zayn said something.
When Sami Zayn said you could have asked me about AEW?
Yeah,
that might have been the last time
on their actual programming. I mean, outside of that, when Triple H with Ariel Helwani would be the only other time.
With an innuendo, might have been when Edge actually referenced Miz having his name on other segments.
Mm-hmm.
That might have been the last time. But even then, seldom. They don't even say AEW. They're very vague around it. And it wasn't even a shot. It was actually a compliment to the Miz. I don't think they've actually ever said anything negative about AEW. I've heard someone say more about negative with Impact, with Kurt Angle talking to Kevin and Sammy, ironically enough.
The last one I can remember. The last one I can remember is on Raw 30 when DX came out and Corey Graves on commentary said, yeah, one of them's missing. I think he's somewhere playing with office equipment, talking about the scissor me shit.
Okay.
Yeah. But my point to this is we all had different answers. Because honestly, unless you really think about it, you can't remember. Yeah. But if I asked you when's the last time AEW took a shot at WWE, we'd all go last week. Because they do it so much. That is my point. That is why WWE is winning. Because they don't, if they do care about you, which I'm sure they do, they don't care enough to show it. It's like AEW can't wait for them to go live so we can talk about WWE. Why? Talk about yourself. Talk about the pay-per-view you have coming up. Talk about the people on your program. Talk about the matches you're having. The most captivating thing in wrestling right now is this Sami Zayn bloodline thing. Never once in this storyline have they mentioned AEW. They don't have to. Focus on yourself. Build your own identity and be that.
Yeah, and AEW has some of the best pure talent, especially if you're looking for pure wrestling talent. They can put on quality matches if they choose to.
They just had a Timothy Thatcher Bryan Danielson match that was phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, they got the best tag team in the world in FTR too.
Yeah. If you do the same thing time in and time out, you're running the risk of either being typecasted for that's all you can do, or you're boring because all you do is one thing.
Barry, I totally get that. I understand exactly what you're saying. I live by a certain motto that, and this kind of ties into what you're saying right here. You don't tell people that smaller companies exist. I live by a motto. Champions acted like champions before they ever were champions. Meaning you acted like you were that bigger promotion before you ever were. You acted like you were the top dog before you were. Like me, I treated my Twitch as a business before it ever was a business. You have to go in with that mindset that you are the top, even if you're not. We all know AEW is not bigger than WWE, but AEW doesn't need to know that. AEW can walk in and be like, we're the best shit ever, and we're going to focus on what we're doing. Act like that champion, so one day you can become that champion.
That's why Nick Aldis was phenomenal when he was the NWA champion for the NWA. He conducted himself like a champion and made it seem like he was the most important deal when it came to champions across the world.
And that's just it. There's that phrase in sports, it doesn't really matter, but you act like you've been there before.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Like that change, that's really a great example of the difference between, I think, an adult and an infant. It's just that mindset of maturity, right? And that you can tell that right now AEW is the infant child in this company, in this business, whereas WWE is that seasoned veteran.
If you ignore the child long enough, they'll stop crying. The child keeps screaming.
if you keep catering to that cry, I kind of want to say Warriors cry because it's too ironic not to. But exactly, and that's just it. Like, and you're a father, like, so you know that analogy all too well. I just have a dog. It's not even the same
If
thing.
I gave in to my son every time he screamed, I would have not been able to sit in this interview for an hour and 40 minutes. Wouldn't happen. WWE is the adult ignoring the screaming baby. That way they can figure it out on their own and stop crying. AEW is the screaming baby who's like, if we scream loud enough, they're going to talk to us. No, they're not. No, they're not.
No, and you hit it right, like perfect there. It's why WWE continues, regardless of whether or not you liked Vince McMahon, you hated him, despite any crap that was going on politically with the company. All through that, why they always remained the number one company in the world. Why? Because their mentality was always, we have a WWE universe, and that universe only is WWE. Our universe does not care about any other companies. That's not an insult to the other companies. It's just the way we go about our business. And because of that, they're always remaining in a spot that no one can even compete with right now. It's foolish to think until those companies are a global empire and are a traded company with shareholders, stop comparing, because that's the problem too, is this narrative of comparing things to be something else, because we lose focus of what that can actually be.
Yeah.
We got any other topics we want to go over, gentlemen, or if we pretty much figured it's time to call her a day?
That all depends on the time we have with Kevin. Kevin, how are you on time?
I'm going to have to go pick my kids up here in a little bit.
Yeah.
I've got time for a few more, but
Okay.
definitely can't go too much longer.
All right. Well, we'll open it up to our chat. If chat, you have anything you want to ask right now, this is the chance. We'll do that, and then before that, we'll make sure we ask you about what you have going on and let you plug everything, as it's kind of a thing. But as we're waiting on the chat, maybe to ask something, I do want to offer you a challenge. So
I knew this was coming.
Yeah, it had to be, right?
It had to.
So you're aware we do the Ole Pod Challenge, and that is you get really close to the mic and you got to yell Ole at the top of lungs, or as loud as you can, because sometimes there's always a thing. I think it's a great little thing we do here on Bustin' Out. So challenge is made.
Okay, so I'm not gonna scream at the top of my lungs because my youngest son is asleep, but I'm gonna try to give you a good one. So it's just Ole into the microphone, right?
You got her.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there we go. Fantastic.
I was so hoping you were going to use that. Thank you.
See what I lack in volume, I made up for in quality, I think.
Yeah, that was absolutely brilliant. Love that.
And that's just a perfect example of, you don't have to be the best professional wrestler. You don't have to be the best high flyer. But if you can be the most entertaining,
I love you too, buddy,
you can be one of the best draws.
Okay, I'll be
at the end of the day, you got to connect to the people, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about those connections. And of course, looks like the chat, nothing new that they're bringing up. So let's make those connections. Let's find out, Kevin, share with everybody who's been viewing, whether they're watching on replay or live here with us, where they can reach out to you and what you got coming up for shows, anything else you want to plug.
Yeah, so a lot of really cool and exciting things are happening. As of right now, I can't go into too much detail about the one thing that I have coming up. I'm going to be signing my first contract here very, very soon, and I can't wait to actually be able to talk about it. So that's going to happen at the beginning of March. So
congratulations.
March 1st, thank you. March 1st on my Twitch channel. Anybody who wants to know about it, you'll hear all about it. The day after the freaking ink dries, I'll tell you guys everything, literally everything. But aside from that, guys, I stream every single weeknight, Monday through Friday at 7:15. We do Monday Night Raw watch-alongs on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have an E-Fed where I take the people in my chat. I create characters in WWE 2K, and we just have like a virtual wrestling company where everybody fights each other, and we just have a really good time. Wednesdays we do AEW. Fridays we do SmackDown. We play video games. We do a lot of really cool shit. And that's twitch.tv/HeelKevin every single weeknight. If you're already watching this, you're already a part of an amazing community. If you want to be a part of another one, we would love to have you over in the HKA. That stands for HeelKevin Army. We would love to see you over there. Let us know that you came from our local establishment so we know where you came from, and we'll just have a really, really good time. I also have a YouTube channel. I've been putting out consistent YouTube content. There are belt reviews. There are interviews with some of your favorite wrestlers and wrestling personalities. I've got interviews with Matt Riddle, Vampiro, one of my really good friends, Eric Bischoff, Nick Aldis, Chris Van Vliet. So many interviews on there, guys. Feel free to check them out. That's HeelKevin1 on YouTube. And I just started doing like reviews of all my toy collection you see behind me and the stories behind everything in here has some kind of story behind it. And so that's what a lot of my videos are now. I think I just did a review on my Power Ranger helmets, and then I did one on the Red Ranger Power Sword, which you can't see, but it's like right there. And then I have every AEW figure going around the top of my office. So even though I bash AEW, I do love AEW. Let's not get that mistaken. I do enjoy the product.
There's a difference between negativity and passion.
Yes. When you love something, you hold it accountable. Mm-hmm. But so like I said, guys, if you want to see more of me, more of my content, HeelKevin1 on TikTok. I make daily content there every weekday, 7:15, twitch.tv/HeelKevin. And at least 2 to 3 times a week, I'm putting out another YouTube video, HeelKevin1 on YouTube.
Perfect. And we're just going to get ready right now. I'm going to send a raid over to a channel. They're playing Fortnite. It's My Two Bros. They showed some love and support to a couple of our shows during this last week. So we're going to head on over there. And if you're following along on YouTube, you'll continue with us for the duration here. So where can you find myself and Chris Parrish during the week? Well, we'll start with myself. And again, you can check out that ticker down below. Of course, as for the shows during the week, Wednesday night, you can join myself, Carl Carafel, and special guest Pop Smokes for a live season finale of Beats and Beatdowns, the show that talks all about the influences of pro wrestling and the music that's used in it. Then Thursday night, join myself and Pop Smokes for our doubleheader of Fusion and Ring Respect Radio. And back here again Sunday for another edition of Busted Out. Parrish, throwing it over to you.
Yeah, next week it's going to be the Super Bowl edition where we may or may not talk football. We'll see what happens. And I'm very happy you said yourself because I was throwing up your graphic, needless to say anyway. So that would have been awkward. But you can find me on the Twitter, Chris Parrish. You can find me on the Instagram at Chris.Parrish because some asshole took Chris Parrish. How dare you?
Some asshole took HeelKevin1 on Twitch, dude. That's why it's HeelKevin1 everywhere except Twitch. Twitch is just HeelKevin. Somebody stole my fucking name, which now my name is LLC, so suck it, whoever you are.
You can follow me on the Twitch at the Chris Parrish and YouTube at Chris Parrish. Also, Twitch is also the same thing. Couldn't get Chris Parrish. Had to do and I hated that. But it is what it is. But yeah, make sure you're also coming to all the platforms that we have on OLPA at our OL Podcasts on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch at our local establishment, YouTube at our local establishment. And if by chance you want to say, hey, we think you suck, or we love what you do, or I have some ideas of what you want to do, I want you to do for the show, or maybe be a guest on one of our shows, go to olepodcast@gmail.com. That is the best way to reach us. You can find me on our local establishment tomorrow for the Monday Night Watch Along featuring Carol Carafel and Chris Best. I'll be helping there about midway as I get off work. You can follow me every Sunday on Bussing Out with that guy right over there, Bobby Money Munson, as we are the Brunch Busters. HeelKevin, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for joining us today. And hopefully we can do this again. And I know, are you going to be doing anything for the Super Bowl next weekend?
Drinking.
Yeah.
Good things you're doing.
No, I know you like to stream football every now and then, or like, so I was wondering if you're going to do anything with the Super Bowl, or if you were just going to, like a lot of us just want to just hang out and just have a good
sit back
time.
and enjoy it and watch the game and have some friends over and probably just kick back and have an easy night. But guys, I've had a lot of fun, and anytime you guys want me to come back, Chris, you know how to reach me. All you gotta do is reach out, and as long as I don't have any family things going on, because I don't really stream on Sundays anymore. I was doing the football streaming on Sundays, but I really needed to dedicate more time to family. So I cut the weekends out, so it leaves me open to do stuff like this. As long as I don't have anything going on with my family, man, anytime you guys want me to come back, I'm more than happy to come back and talk some good old wrestling.
Yeah, you're always welcome back here anytime.
Yeah, we'll set a stool on just for you over at our local establishment. It'll have the HeelKevin Army and HeelKevin name right up on there for you.
I don't care what's on it as long as two of those cores are in front of it.
Oh, there'll be whatever you want on there, so don't
All
worry. we don't pay bills, so we just go to whenever we get cut off. But with that being said, we do have to head out for the day. So thank everyone for coming in and joining us, supporting us. Make sure you're checking out all of our great stuff, but also giving HeelKevin a like, a follow, subscription, and a good job for all the good stuff you have. Kevin, please keep up the energy. Please keep up it. We love having you on. And better than that, you're an amazing human being for that. So thank you again.
I appreciate it, guys.
Bobby, closing is all you.
All right. We're heading out. We'll see you guys at next Sunday, and take care.
You're ready to rock, we'll just let it fall.